In this latest batch of notices from the conflict in Ukraine, not many outlets had reported on this. However, on the 23rd of this month, Kiev fired 5 ATACMS missiles into the vicinity of Lotaryovka, around 37 kilometers northwest of the Kursk city, targeting an S-400 anti-aircraft missile division. 3 casualties on the ground, servicemen, and damage to the radar defense, the defense ministry claimed. That's the Russian Defense Ministry, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
On the 24th, Zelensky, with a little help from his friends, sent more ATACMS rockets into the Kursk region, this time looking to damage an airport at Kalino. It's been said that of the 7 or 8 missiles that were sent, 6 or 7 were shot down before they reached their intended targets. And 1 or 2 fell short of the runway, should we say. Not sure how they could have fell short if the Ukrainians had American boots on the ground, helping them with their aiming and firing of the missiles. These ATACMS missiles are American. What was interesting is that the airfield has not been used for some time. So it's not clear why the Ukrainians wanted to cite that as a target. Could it have been bad information? Nobody knows as yet, nor do they know how Putin will retaliate. He will retaliate, by the way.
Well,
The Russians have said, just wait a little.
wait your turn. Wait until we're ready. Yeah.
If it was a film, they would have retaliated by now. Just, you know. Could it be that the Americans are trying to test the Russian arsenal? Are they going to see if Putin's going to send off another one of those huge missiles to see if he's got any more? He claims he's got loads, but we don't do this until they arrive. Should we say? So either way, Russia is still sending in drones to attack military targets and facilities, as per. Yeah, they're sending the drones across to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And taking out military targets and utility companies and things like that. In other news, Germany is targeting underground car parks, cellars, metro stations, and such as bomb shelters, noting where they are to publish pamphlets to be given to local residents to take cover if they need to, for when that time may come. So the Germans are waiting. They believe that they're going to be rained down upon with bombs. In the meantime, Josep Borrell, outgoing foreign policy chief in the EU, said recently that the future of the EU is in danger, as they can no longer rely on US to clear the military backside, to clean their military backside, and the problem of military conflicts worldwide.
Okay.
He says, our geopolitical environment is deteriorating and conflicts and crises are multiplying on our doorstep. From Ukraine to the Middle East, via South Caucasus, the Horn of Africa, or the Sahel. All of this against a backdrop where the future US commitment to European security is becoming much more delinquent. So, Mr. Borrell, let me ask you, are you delinquent? That's what Trump threatened the EU with. If the EU countries are not paying their dues to NATO, then the US has no reason to protect them. So that's where we go to so far in the conflict, sorry, soon to become a world war. It's well underway. Over to you for your thoughts and prayers.
Well, I wouldn't say it's getting tedious now. One thing it isn't, but yeah, it's all the poking the bear. I mean, I know it's a conflict zone. Russia are attacking Ukraine, as we highlighted here. If people think we're one-sided, we are making it quite clear, or you are, that yeah, Russia are still treating it as a full-blown conflict. Yeah, I mean, hearing that more and more, that the Ukrainians can't operate these weapons. Allegedly, they were trained in the UK or something. I don't know. They're highly sophisticated weapons. That I would be very, very worried about giving giving the Ukrainians the remote control units to these things. Yeah, it we it is a case of concern, cause of concern now. Quite how Russia will respond. They've said a few angry words. They've sent one firework back, one big firework back. This is what we've got. Are they hoping that's all they've got? I'd imagine Russia have got a few more than them. Who says that they're going to fire a nuke in the first instant into Germany? Yeah, they might just send something that goes bang very loudly and does quite a bit of damage.
Well,
Uh,
the underground shelters in Germany serve for nuclear or non-nuclear. You know, if they're underground, then
well,
anything gets destroyed and it's normally above ground.
yeah, I mean, in a nuclear situation, you pretty much forget it if
Mm.
you're a population. Um, we're not, They're not playing. These things are serious pieces of hardware. I mean, a drone going off, it's a serious piece of hardware now. I mean, the suicidal drones that are getting touted about are the trade fairs for the Ukrainians. I don't believe the Ukrainians are being given them. They're being, somebody owns Ukraine now, and it isn't the Ukrainians. Um, yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, we could do so much speculation and everything else. Targeting I mean, it might even be just a bit of a warning, targeting a disused airfield, put it out of commission before it can be used again. Whatever the strategic thinking is there.
Well, from what I can understand, it's an abandoned airfield.
Well,
The Russian Air Force has been away from there for a long time.
but yeah, it can be brought back into commission.
The state of it, I don't know.
Well, this is it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's all speculation. Somebody's made the decision somewhere that it's an asset that needed to be targeted, whatever the reasons. Yeah, but said Americans thought it's an asset. Um, the Russians don't seem over bothered about it, but they've taken something that's considered a threat. Have they taken something that's considered a threat out of commission? Are they making a statement? We can do it, or is it all they can do?
Point.
I
Is it all that the US and the UK are allowing them to do
Mhm.
because they don't want to damage anything? They just want to get the conflict going, and
Well,
then eventually both sides will do the rest.
yeah, but we're not. I don't know if our leaders are actually totally aware of the consequences of their actions. I mean, I've said all along, I've not been supportive of Russia going into Ukraine the way they have, even if I understand some of the thinking. But yeah, this escalation that our leaders seem to want to do with Russia. I mean, you can't give Russia a blank check to say, "Oh, do exactly what you want in Eastern Europe." There will be consequences. Well, that doesn't seem to be working. if you don't mind me saying, the fact the Russians are still there doesn't seem to be working. Sanctions haven't worked. With everything that Ukraine has been given. And it's been money, weapons, and everything else, whatever age it is or anything else. The Russians are still not being driven back over the border. Why is that? If NATO were the force that they became, potentially could be, the Russians would be backing down, but they haven't. I mean, this sort of thing about going into Russia and all that. Russia's a big territory to invade. Many have tried, many have failed. And yeah, Putin gambles on that as well. He knows that. I mean, he's a strange character. You have to expect the unexpected with him, and he's the ultimate cold warrior. Yeah, even with his own people. As somebody said to me, send. What does it say about Putin when he sends his troops into Ukraine to die? I said he's being Russian. That's what they've always done. Yeah. You accept it. He's a hard man. He has no compassion. You look at him. You don't play poker with that man. Yeah. He never smiles. Yeah, really. Again, we don't know what it is. Why you and I have discussed why we think our leaders want some sort of conflict. I don't think they want a nuclear conflict. If our leaders do want a nuclear conflict, they're sicker than I even thought they were capable of being. Again, we can speculate. We're not privy to the information. We don't know what the Russians' game is. The Russians are probably quite happy ultimately to allow a piece of tarmac to be hit by whatever weapons. It's not affecting them.
The Russians said that they are going to retaliate.
But yeah.
So, I think just ignoring the fact that the territory was missiled.
Well, yeah. I mean, if Mexico did that to the US, there'd be a very different story going on by now. Yeah.
You can't just wrap his fingers for sending the missiles. He's got to have to do something, especially because they've already sent one big missile to Ukraine.
Yeah.
I think if they're going to have to send a slightly bigger one, because obviously they're going to say, well, Zelensky hasn't learnt, or the West hasn't learnt the lesson from the last big one we sent.
I'm going to ask a question. Does anyone really care if it's just Ukraine getting hit? Does anyone really care? It's a war zone already. Something going there, going bang.
Of course not. No, of course not. Of course not. Everybody in the US is in the US. Everybody in the UK is in the UK, except for those poor souls who might be on the ground in they say that the US has got their souls on the ground, and the UK said that we've got our souls on the ground. So,
what's gonna?
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Not. No. I mean, no. These are still brave men, whatever way you look at it. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be. Well, it's a hot zone now. I mean, is it? I mean, I'm still optimistic something will happen that will prevent World War III. Optimistic. I wouldn't say possibly deluded, leading into delusion. But yeah,
I think so. World War III has already started.
Well, it probably started years ago, but yeah, it's piecemeal. Even the Pope said it's World War III by piecemeal.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, yeah, we have a problem, and I don't know what the resolution is anymore. I mean, can we get these two sides talking? I think Zelensky probably wants to talk now.
I know that Putin does. Putin is waiting for Donald Trump to get sworn
Oh
into
yeah, he's
office.
playing the game. Yeah.
So, and I think to a certain degree, Putin is trying to play it down a little. But like I said in another podcast, he's got all these people around him. He's under so much pressure to retaliate with strength to show that Russia's a strong country.
Yeah.
And he was forced to send that other missile.
Yeah. Which didn't really achieve anything. Yeah, we know that.
And I think Well, I mean, if Zelensky sent another 7 or 8 other missiles, then he hasn't. It wasn't enough for him to learn his lesson. So this, like I said, this next one's got to have to be a little bit bigger than the last one.
I mean, we could see Kiev get flattened.
Well, I mean, I don't. For me, it's really strange that when you're in a war, the building that never gets hit are your parliament buildings. And I mean, if I was in a war, the first place I'd hit
You
would
cut
be
the
the
head off.
parliament
Yeah,
buildings.
cut the head off.
You know, yeah. But for some reason, this day and age, they try and protect the leaders and who were inflicting the war, and who 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 pays the price of the people on the ground.
Yeah, there could be a lot of reasons for that. I mean, um, I mean, I mean, Putin is well aware. If anything happens to the leadership in Ukraine, it will divide itself up into about 4 different factions. Then he's probably got a bigger problem on his doorstep that he doesn't want to deal with. Because at that point, the West would probably walk away. Yeah.
Isn't that what he wants?
You don't want. Okay, if Ukraine goes into civil war, let's run a scenario like this was possible. If anything happens to leadership there, you get one
Been
side.
in since 2014.
Well, yeah, in pockets. Yeah, I'm talking about a big one. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but yeah, um, if it did happen, that is a problem for or that would give the West an excuse to go in stock and barrel into Ukraine.
Well, that would be the role of the United Nations and the white hats of the United Nations. It wouldn't be any more. It would be the peacekeepers from the United Nations and no longer NATO.
Well, yeah, but
But I think Lindsey Graham,
mm,
senator
mm,
from the US,
yeah,
uh, he's always been a war hawk,
yeah,
and he was on about the rare earth minerals in Ukraine,
mm,
especially in the Donbass. He
yeah.
says it's worth trillions and trillions of dollars.
Mm.
And that's why the US should, this is like 6 months ago, this is why the US should continue supporting Kiev.
At least he's honest about it. Yeah, he's being honest. But
Now that Donald Trump has been elected
yeah,
president,
mm,
uh, our friend Lindsey Graham
mm,
has said we should want peace,
mm,
because peace through strength, we will have access to all these rare earth minerals
yeah.
underground in the Donbass region of
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Well, at least he's being honest about the motivations, I suppose. You've
He's
got to
been
have that.
honest about his lying, isn't he? He's been because he's
Yeah.
you know it, it,
Well, he's
it,
still a politician. I mean, he's a nice enough. Well, I don't know if he's nice enough guy.
aren't they all?